I'm Grace Bridges, and I'm here with Greg Mitchell, the author of Rift Jump and also the Coming Evil trilogy. But today we're going to talk about Rift Jump, which has come out from Splashdown Dark Water, and we were very pleased to publish that for you, Greg. So it's been described as a cross between Sliders and Lovecraft, and it's about the multiverse and romance and monsters and lots of other things.
Stuff blows up.
Yeah, lots of stuff blows up. So, as I understand it, there's not just this book in this universe, there's a whole world with these characters, and this whole Rift Jump idea is been like a legend in Greg's life for as long as he can remember. So, Greg, why don't you tell us a bit about that?
So the book deals with the multiverse and all the different planes of existence, and the different universes are reflections of the true universe, and it extends to technically everything that I write could fit into the multiverse, but more specifically there are things that happen in Rift Jump that echo back to the Coming Evil trilogy and other things I'm working on right now that haven't come out yet. But there's lots of crossover. Some are pretty blatant, some are pretty subtle. But the idea is that you have the multiverses, and there's a dark space in between all the worlds, and that's actually where heaven and hell exist. And so technically, any of the demons that pop up in my other stories, they come from this dark space in between the worlds. But most of the characters in the other stories don't ever really touch that space because they're confined to their realities. But Michael and Sarah in Rift Jump, they pass through the in-between all the time to go to the different planes of existence, and they sometimes catch the notice of things that are lurking in the darkness.
Cool. So, what else is going to happen to them? What do you have in mind for the future of the Rift Jump universe?
I have one more book specifically that is going to deal with kind of the fallout of the things that happened in the first book. The first book is very much about Michael and his kind of character arc and the things that make him, into a man. And book 2 is going to be much more about Sarah and how she deals with this, because Michael's kind of pulled her from her life, and she's getting used to jumping through the rifts and dealing with monsters, and it takes a huge strain on her, so it'll be interesting to explore that. And then beyond that, Rift Jump's kind of built that it could just go on forever with these characters, or with spin-off characters, or alternate versions of these characters. So pretty much just whenever I get bored and want to write more Rift Jump stories.
So how long have you been writing these stories?
Professionally, like a year, but in my slacker time, I've been writing them since high school. I have a whole drawer full of terrible, terrible stories that Grace has seen now, and there's a bunch of them. It was like 20-something by now.
Big stack.
It's a big stack, and but they were always meant to be not really read by everybody. But when I originally wrote them, it was just a chance to blow off some creative steam. I drew my own covers. I mean, it was just for fun. So some of those old stories have been repurposed to make this book, and some will be repurposed to make the next book, but then there will also be new material in the next book. And then beyond that, it will just be new material.
So your wife has a specific relationship to this story, doesn't she? Would you like to tell us about that?
Yeah, it's twofold. She actually wrote a short story that's at the end of this that deals with Michael and Sarah, and it's completely silly and ridiculous. And then Rift Jump started when I had a dream when I was like 15, and in this dream I met this girl named Sarah, and she was kind of locked in this tower and being bullied by this abusive thug, and in the dream I was this cool superhero type guy in a leather jacket and sneakers, and I was able to save her, and she declared her undying love for me. And I was 15, and so, I don't know, that dream really stuck with me, because I guess I hadn't really felt, that I warranted anyone's attention when I was that age. So I always kind of thought of that girl as like my ideal woman, and her name was Sarah in the dream, like in the book. And I started writing Rift Jump stories about her, and that kind of came into my real life, hoping that I would meet Sarah one day. And then I eventually met Megan, and we got married, and Megan's actually her middle name. Her first name is Sarah. I did not marry her just because her name was Sarah, but that turned out to be kind of a cool little, spooky coincidence. So.
Well, I love to link stories together as well, and I did it sort of in my own fiction when I wrote Faith Awakened, in which there is a virtual reality that very closely mirrors my actual life, to a point, but except in the book it's fake. So we have that, and I've got several other books coming in that world and those realities, including where we're going to go into the life of Faith, where she doesn't know she's in virtual reality, and the reader doesn't have to either, but weird things can happen in there because it's a computer and glitches happen. So we have that, and we also have Aquasynthesis, which is our Splashdown team effort that we put out last year. First of many, we hope, because we had such a good time doing it. It's got short stories from all of our authors up till the end of last year. At that point, 25 short stories, and they're linked together with a narrative that holds them into one story. So you can read it kind of like a novel from front to back. Some people like to read anthologies by looking at certain stories and reading them out of order. Well, that doesn't really work with this one, except for the stories on their own merit, of course. But if you read straight through, you'll have quite a different experience. And next year we're going to probably do another one of those. We would like very much to do that, and as a continuing team effort, we're going to get all of our new authors on board in doing that, and Greg also. And
yay!
We're going to see what we can get of the Rift Jump universe to join in with that whole thing.
And I think it's important to note that a lot of the stories in Aquasynthesis are actually like spin-offs of books
yes.
that Splashdown also has published. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like it's a sampler of all the different series that are already in Splashdown. Mm-hmm. You can get like, I don't know, like sequels, or like more like side stories, or
they're side stories. They're kind of related. Some are not, but lots of them are. Like my ones, I have 3 stories in there. One is a companion story to Legendary Space Pilgrims. It's a story about a side character who is going to become quite important in the sequel when I eventually get around to writing it. So,
how far along are you on that?
I have a 1-sentence blurb.
Okay. What do you think is the draw to having all these different stories connected? Because I know that Megan, my wife, thinks that I'm crazy to want to connect all my stories into the thing. So I know a lot of authors do that. Their stories across even different genres all have connecting materials. So why do you think they do that? Why do you do that?
I think it's cool. I think it helps us keep things straight in our heads when we can think, okay, there's this, and it's connected to this, and this, and this, and that was part of this story. And just for example, my story Lily's Tale in Aquasynthesis is connected to the story of Giselle and Tok, which Walt wrote as the framing story, and it's connected to all the other stories in that book, and had an impact on Giselle as a character. And I don't know if we'll be writing about her again, but we may do. And next time we do it, we'll probably include some stories from Avenue Eclectia as well, which is a whole other kettle of fish. Which
is all connected, and it's this huge, the multi-author, and everyone's trying to write in a shared universe, and yeah.
Because there are so many authors, but we're all writing in one world with the same settings, same types of characters, same kinds of things going on, and interconnecting, borrowing each other's characters. And that whole concept fits really well into the Aquasynthesis idea. So we'll be bringing in Avenue Eclectia, we'll be bringing in Rift Jump, we'll be bringing in other new authors that we've had join us this year, and anyone else who really wants to. And to me that's the reason why, because it just all seems really cool. Everything's connected. It's like there's so many worlds out there. They're in our heads, but there's this endless scope of imagination that can be joined up, and it's beautiful.